Today's Broadscast is brought to you by Audible.com. Get a free audiobook download and a 30-day free trial at www. Do people even say www anymore?
No, I don't think they do.
Audibletrial.com/broadcast. Over 180,000 titles to choose from for your iPhone, Android, Kindle, or MP3 player.
Broad topics, broad minds, broad hosts, but not just for broads. This is Broadscast with Kim Goldman and Jackie McDougall.
Welcome to Broadscast. Hi, Kim.
Hi, Jackie McDougall.
How are you?
I'm good. I have Cheap Trick Dream Police in my head, so I apologize if I break out into random song throughout our show.
Is that what you were listening to on your way?
The Dream Police. Yeah, I was. It's on Classic Rewind.
We need to get like a DJ
on
in
on our future show. Yeah.
And so whenever we talk about music, we go into break.
Oh, you don't like the way I did that? The Dream Police.
Yeah, no, but later as like a callback.
Oh,
then we go into the break with Dream Police.
Right.
Anyway, so you were driving over here. That was after you stopped at the dry cleaner. You were telling me. So before we even started the show, you were telling me things that I'm like, scratch everything that we've written for the first segment.
Yeah,
and let's just talk about your life.
Okay, so I have 3 cats and 2 dogs. And it is a rule in my house.
Yet you're single.
I know. It's pathetic. And yet in my house, there's a rule that all the bedroom doors are closed because I don't want animals in our rooms. But every once in a while, my little sneaky little kitten, older cat, but he's the youngest, sneaks into my room and I never find him. So the other night I'm downstairs and the cats are yelling at each other and I'm ignoring their cries.
Are they like, hey,
well, yeah. Well, they wrestle with each other, whatever. But apparently what was happening is they were trying to let me know that one cat was in my bedroom. So when I went to bed that night, I opened the door and a cat came running out and I was met with this waft of like disgusting cat pee smell. And I can't be mad at my kitten because I locked him in my room. So anyway, I took off my duvet cover, my duvet cover. What is it?
Yeah,
duvet cover. Anyway, so I had to bring in my down comforter to the dry cleaner because my cat peed all over my thing. So I walk in this morning and I said, here you go. And she said, okay, it's going to be ready in a week. And I said, great. So my cat peed all over it. And the look of disgust that this woman gave me.
At the dry cleaner?
At the dry cleaner. I was like, you're the magic place. You're the place that everything gets sparkly clean. And you're giving me this look of disgust.
Like cat pee the worst she's ever seen?
I know. And so I left there with my head hung low. Like, what kind of a loser am I that my cat pees all over my comforter? Yeah. That's really that was mortifying to way to start my day.
Yeah. I don't think that they're supposed to react, first of all. And secondly, why does it take a week?
I don't know. She didn't even look at it. Like, it wasn't, when I'm saying all over, it wasn't like it was a...
You know that there's a picture of you up there right now.
Worst offender at the Rainbow Cleaners.
Rainbow Cleaners?
Rainbow Cleaners.
You think she'd love all people.
I know. I'm just, the Judgy McJudgerson this morning.
Seriously.
Yeah.
So there was another topic that you brought up. It's so funny because none of this was on our plan, but this is what we do. And by the way, you guys, today on the show, we should probably tell you, we're talking about the top, what are they called? The top 50. Now I got to look this up.
It's the top 50 working mothers, right?
Yeah. They're like bad
mama jammas.
Bad mama jammas is right.
Yeah. So speaking of bad mama jammas, but
hold on, Vivian Schaffel.
Oh, right.
I said it correctly. I've been practicing on that all morning. She's going to be on from Working Mother magazine to talk about their list, their Working Mothers magazine, 50 most powerful moms of 2016. Vivian Manning Schaffel. So I said that up well.
Name. Yeah.
It is really. Yeah. I want to change my name to that. So, okay, back to you. So you were driving here again, or you were talking to somebody. Prom dresses. Go there.
Yeah. So I saw. So prom is in the air.
Prom's in the air,
and everyone's sending pictures and showing
Smells
pictures
like cat pee.
and all over Facebook. And so I caught a glimpse of a dress of a young lady who I was very surprised to see because it was the whole back was open. I got side boob visual, cleavage, like almost down to like the belly button. And I think she was 17-ish. Gorgeous girl. I mean, but I just was thinking, wow. So
a bit much.
It was a bit much. And so I was thinking, like, don't they have to get their dresses approved? Like, I thought I thought and I believe that kids have to show their pictures to their school of the pictures of their clothes, their dresses, to make sure that it's not.
This is a real thing?
It is a real thing.
So
There's dress codes at school. Like, why throughout the school year can you?
Yeah, but you don't send a picture of your outfit every morning.
I know,
They
that's
should
my point.
expect that you know how to dress appropriately.
Well, I don't know. Would you think that would be appropriate for prom?
I don't think that would be appropriate, but that they're two totally different topics. That's not appropriate for a 17-year-old, I would think. In my opinion, especially for
families.
Yeah, especially for a school-sponsored event.
Right.
I'll go with you there. But you caught my attention when you were saying that there are actual girls
that
who
have to send their
not
picture
boys,
of their
no
dress.
boys.
Correct. But this is my whole thing. I've always been against this. That girls are not allowed to wear leggings to school because it's too distracting for boys. But there's no restrictions on what boys can wear because girls don't get distracted.
Right.
But that's a whole other show, and I
Yeah,
have a big
yeah,
thing about this.
yeah.
But yes, there are girls that have to show the pictures of what they're wearing to make sure that it is appropriate attire.
And
for
are they
going to
hold up your photo as you check in to the event?
Well, I don't know how that works, but you have to show what you're wearing.
Do what we did as kids, and dress one way, and then change in the car on the way to school.
Yeah, I'm sure there's checks and balances.
bathroom.
Just like how they're checking transgender people from going into the wrong bathroom. Anyway, I don't know, but
that's a topic we discussed. If you missed that show, go back a couple posts.
But I don't know what I. There is a part of me that thinks it's not appropriate to be half naked when you go to your prom. And then there's the part of me that feels like you should be able to wear what you feel most comfortable in and celebrate your body and celebrate your uniqueness. I mean, we talk about this a lot, but at some point I'm like, as a parent, talking about working powerful mothers, like as a mother,
I think you can be unique. I think it's our job to teach our daughters that you can be unique and you can be gorgeous and you can be, when it's appropriate, sexy without showing everything. Sexy is not, some of the sexiest people in the world, in my opinion, aren't those who show off their stuff.
So I will say this now, as a mother of a boy, if my son's date was half naked, I think I would be mortified.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly. I mean, you have two boys.
Yeah.
I mean, if they brought home a date for prom that was leaving nothing,
I'd be embarrassed for her.
Would you not? What would you think about for your child?
Well, what am I going to do?
I know, but
yeah. But I just find it interesting, though. It's like there's definitely, I want to know if people think, like, are we micromanaging everything, though? Yes, there are going to be people, and they should be sent home if it's a school-sponsored event and there's a dress code, okay. But to, like, send pictures in advance, that's just
okay. So
weird.
wait, while we're on this topic, I know we're getting up, but graduation's also coming up, and there was an article that I read in New Orleans with this young man who was the valedictorian of his school, and he has a goatee, and there is a policy that there is no facial hair, and so he is not allowed to walk in his graduation ceremony because he has a beard.
Okay.
What do you think of that? He's a valedictorian.
Yeah, I mean, that's great that he's a smart kid, but I think if that's the rule and you've known from the beginning of time that that's the rule, then that's the rule.
Right. So my question is, why in the heck is there a policy on facial hair? I know. Right? Like, and if you look at this kid, I mean, he's barely coming in. Like
Right.
They're young men.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was thinking the same thing. Just shave your face. It grows back.
Yeah.
Like, walk in your graduate. You've earned it. Like,
Right. I mean, there are baseball teams that they have rules. Like, I think the Yankees were like really, was it the Yankees or the Red
But that
Sox?
is a professional.
I know, but when you're with an institution, whether it's a school
Right.
or a business or whatever, you have to follow their rules. If their code is up there and it's like everyone needs to follow it, then you need to follow it.
I know. Part of me, it wasn't a private school. It's a public school. I mean, it's just going back to like micromanaging. I'm like, is this the area that we want to come down on kids for when they,
Right.
I don't know. I mean, I just was really struck by it. And then I was thinking, why didn't his parents just make him, and apparently this kid was told what the rule was and reminded that he, wasn't going to be able to walk in his graduation ceremony if he didn't shave. And his parents were there 3 times. He was talked to about it and he opted out. And a part of me is like, good for you for being an individual and sticking to what's important to you and your uniqueness. And then I'm thinking, but really? Over a goatee that I can barely see?
Right.
I don't know.
In my opinion, pick your battles. I think we are in a time right now where everyone is looking, and we've discussed this ad nauseum. Everyone's looking to be offended. Everyone's looking to fight the establishment. Like sometimes there's just a rule and just follow it. That's all. It's that easy. So we're going to go to break. But when we get back, we're talking powerful moms, Kim.
We got this.
With Vivian Manning Schaffel. We'll be right back.
You're listening to Broadscast with Kim Goldman and Jackie McDougall. They're huge in anywhere other than somewhere that you've been before.
So welcome back to Broadscast with Kim Goldman and Jackie McDougall. So recently, Working Mothers magazine published their 50 most powerful moms of 2016. And we've got the writer of that. Seriously, I don't know about anybody else, but when you read it, you will feel inadequate at the very least. But Vivian Manning Schaffel is here with us today.
Yeah.
Welcome.
Hi, ladies. Thank you so much.
Hello.
Thank you. So, before we get started, what are you looking for these 50 powerful moms? What do you got to do to get on this list?
Oh, honey, a lot.
Who you got to do to get on this list?
More than I'm capable of doing personally. Basically, the kinds of things that we look for people who are not necessarily, it doesn't necessarily have to mean that you have zillions of dollars, but you have to be a woman of tremendous influence. And you have to be a woman who is basically out there trying to make the world a better place for other women. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of the goal.
Okay.
And, there are ways of, you don't just have to be rich and famous and have a baby. It has to be someone who's definitely, there are a lot of different criteria, but I cull a list together. It's kind of an exhausting process. It takes a lot of time to try to figure out who these hot, fabulous women are, and also try to balance it in terms of where in the world they come from, what their political beliefs may be, what kinds of things they're doing to better the world for women, working mothers in particular, in general. Right. So those are the kinds of criteria that we look at.
Some of them are kind of obvious, your Adele's and Beyonce and Melissa McCarthy.
Maybe because we could stick around, but yeah.
But how do you determine the ones that are not so obvious? Like I don't know how to say her name, but Delphine Arnault from Louis Vuitton. Like, how did you pick her? Like, how do you cultivate your list?
A lot of digging, a lot of deep digging into other lists, and then going back and then seeing, does she have kids? Are her kids under 18? What kinds of things has she done lately that are like in the past year that make her relevant in terms of her contributions? So a lot of these people are very behind the scenes, and a lot of these people are also corporate executives, and the main challenge in qualifying them is a lot of these women don't like to talk about in the media the fact that they're working mothers. And they don't like to talk about, they don't give their children publicity. They let their children have privacy and live their own lives.
As they should. But one thing I noticed, though, with at least one of your on the list, and I actually made notes of some of them that I find totally fascinating in their views. But, a lot of women are not pleased when somebody asks them about work-life balance and being a mother and all that stuff.
Yes. I remember writing this one.
Yeah, and what do you think of that when women don't want to necessarily broach that subject because men aren't asked the same question?
I think that's why I put that particular conversation within the context of this piece, because I felt like it was a very important conversation for us to be having as working mothers. Why? Why is it so special that we're doing it, not them? Do you know what I mean? It's like, because it's all about leveling the playing field, and that's what we're
special. I mean, and this could be a whole other show in itself. And Kim, I would love, what do you think?
We all want that gender parity, right? So we all want it to not matter if we're a woman stepping into the C-suite or a man. It really shouldn't matter.
Well, okay. So let's say at the office it doesn't matter, but the thing is, women have a very there are plenty of homes where dad is at home or dad is, the roles change and that's great. Whatever works for your family. But I think that women are, these are my personal beliefs, are doing ourselves a disservice by pushing all of that off, because I think we are like accomplishing great feats every single day, and we should be celebrated for that.
No, and I agree. And I think that this list absolutely is a huge celebration of that. And I think all of the research and advocacy that Working Mother does on a regular basis is what makes me proud to be a part of that magazine. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. They're constantly fighting for flex time, constantly pushing for longer maternity leaves, constantly pushing for a better work-life balance for all of us. So when a couple decides to have a baby and they're both working full time, it could just as easily be him that stays home as her.
Right.
And
But
when the playing field is level that way, we'll start to see some real progress for women, I think.
But are you saying, Jackie, that you think that women they shouldn't be poo-pooing the fact that it's most powerful moms? I mean, are they wanting to just be most powerful women who happen to be moms? Is that what you're saying? Yeah. That they should take more pride in that? Or which way are you saying it?
I just think that a lot, like we've gone, it went so long and it still continues that there's not all the equality that we want, right? But at the same time, let's just talk about how things have been. Like, I know that in my house, in a 2-parent household, I handle certain things. And when I have a full-time job and I still get it done and somebody says, how do you do it? I feel complimented because you know what? I am doing it. And my husband isn't just, yes, I feel exactly. And so, they may not ask my husband because he's not necessarily pulling off what I'm pulling off every day. And I'm okay with that. And so if somebody asks a mom and maybe she's not the one, maybe they're 50-50 or maybe he's handling most of it. Why not say, you know what? I got to tell you, my husband handles a lot of that. Like, why can't we have these conversations honestly and stop acting like we're women, we are robots now. Please pay no attention to, anything else other than the fact that I'm working. Like, I have
a theory, Jackie, if you'd like.
Oh, yes, we like theories.
We love a theory.
It just kind of occurred to me like a light bulb over the head, kind of an epiphany. But the women who often say these things are the women that have to fight the good fight in the boardroom every day. Mm-hmm. That's the woman who's constantly being measured and had this glass ceiling over her head for so long.
Right.
So it's more likely to be that woman who's come up against those issues at work where she's not seen as an equal to have a real problem with it when it comes to her personal life.
Mm-hmm.
Perhaps.
Yeah.
This is just a theory I have.
But don't you think it would be...
I feel like it's mostly the women who are fighting the corporate fight for equality and they're running up against brick walls all day that then come home and feel like, I don't want to talk about my home life and I don't want any acknowledgement because I so badly want to be viewed as an equal in and out of the workplace. I feel like it spills over in that way. Does that make any sense?
I do, but I think that, with all this equality in the workplace, and I was watching something this morning with Robin Wright and, on the show, whatever she's on, I don't watch it, House of Cards, and she's demanding equal pay and her character got the most play. And so she wants the same things. And a part of me, I'm always the polar opposite of Jackie. I'm so bored with this conversation in some way because I don't like the categories and the titles. And I just want to be like, I just want to do my thing. I just want to go about my business.
Right. Yeah. I think the women who tend to resist what Jackie's proposing, like that kind of accolade, maybe they're tired of hearing it too. I think it's an individual situation for every woman. If you take it on the flip side, like my husband is a working dad who works full time, and I work full time. So we're just kind of both equally involved. But he's like, why don't the dads ever get credit? Why aren't the dads ever why do people think it's so special that I'm hanging out with the kids for a weekend while you go to a professional event? Why is that a big deal?
Right.
Because people will say to him, oh, isn't that cute? You're babysitting your kid.
Oh.
You're hanging. He hates that. It's like, no, I'm a
Kim's
partner.
thing.
These are my children. No, that's wrong. And I think that lens needs to be altered as well.
Right.
For us,
Sheryl Sandberg. Go ahead, Kim.
Yeah. No, I do like the conversation focusing on the ability that women can be more than just one thing, because I do think all the roles in our country have always been that women stay home, they are barefoot and pregnant, the men are their providers, and I like the conversation that everybody can do all parts. I hate the fact that men get looked down upon by themselves, actually, if they stay home and they're the primary caretaker. And I guess that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm kind of exhausted by this conversation because it doesn't get us anywhere. In some ways, and maybe I'm just being naive about it. I don't know.
Well, I think the lens kind of needs to be shifted over toward the men and giving them more flex time and giving them more time at home. You know what I mean? Like, if they just claim it, if they just ask for it, if they just claim it.
Right. And that's one of the things on your list that really stood out to me was because, well, not only Sheryl Sandberg, of Facebook, who lost her husband a year ago, she talks about children and how they do better emotionally and when they have, and professionally and school and all that, when the dad, is home or when the dad is involved, which I think is, important as well. But also Kathy Engelbert, who
Right,
was what did you say?
The CEO of
Nothing. I was
Deloitte.
cracking a bad joke.
Deloitte.
Yeah.
Oh,
Deloitte.
I really enjoyed
company.
her. She was great because she made it she's gone on record many a time to saying she will tell a client that she has to leave at 5 to go coach her daughter's basketball team. And apparently she had done that for 4 years.
Right.
And, and her clients would then say to her, because she put her foot down and said, look, it's 5:30, I'm out of here, that her clients then kind of modeled their behavior and said, men would say to her, I didn't know I could leave at 5:30 to go hang out with my kid on a Friday. Like, do you know what I mean?
Exactly.
There's this, I think it's corporate culture in general that it's ingrained that, especially now where we're all handheld all the time, there's this issue of personal time. I've been working in an office recently, consulting someplace where I'm with a lot of people in their 20s and 30s. And these are people without families. And they're being shown that it's okay to work 10, 12, 14 hours a day. That's the expectation.
Yeah.
Right. And I mean, that's the thing too, is like when somebody is in a position of power like that, oftentimes I've seen them maybe go out and go to a basketball game or do something, but then not necessarily allow the people who aren't in that position of power to live their lives the same way.
Right. Well, I have a friend who works at Deloitte. I have a friend who actually works at Deloitte. And she's managed to maintain a really decent work-life balance. So I feel like that kind of proved to me that it wasn't just talk.
Right.
That this woman doesn't just talk. She walks the walk.
So behind the scenes, how many of these women paid you to get on your list?
Girl,
and it could be in wine or compliments, but I'm just kidding.
I live in a much bigger apartment where that's the case. No, this is not. We do not. People approach me throughout the year all the time to try to get on the list, and I purposely turn a blind eye. And it's also input from my editor, Barbara Turbot, and Jennifer Owens, who are higher up at the magazine than I. They have input as well as to who goes on the list. Mm-hmm. So I call an initial list of like 55 to 60 women. And they go through and they're like, okay, love her, hate her, love her, hate her. Not hate her, but it might not, they might prefer to put someone else on there.
Right.
For their own reasons. Or maybe they have a lens that I don't, Right. So I always refer to them in the end. The list is done by committee. It's not just me.
Right. So can we talk about Carolyn McCall for a second? Because
totally.
Yeah, she's the CEO of EasyJet.
EasyJet lady.
Love that. She's a jet setter.
Yes.
But she wants to, in order to, retain female talent, she's all about like job sharing, 4-day work weekends, things like that. Like how do we get more companies like this?
I don't know. If I knew the secret sauce, I'd be out there selling it. But the truth is, I think by publishing this piece, our hope in general is that other executives, male and female, will look at the list and realize there are things they can do to build a more family-friendly and inclusive culture. I mean, if you look at the workforce in general, a lot of women who aren't necessarily of the C-suite or famous or at the executive level or who don't make businesses for themselves are often at a turning point in their late 40s and 50s. And I feel personally what I've seen is that ageism is beginning earlier and earlier and earlier. And women, as they have families later and later and later, it's harder and harder to get back into the workforce if you've taken time out to have a family at, say, 39. And you want to go back into the workforce at 45.
Right.
There was an article in the New York Times that said there was a huge, audacious percentage of the current unemployed population that were women 50-year-old and higher.
Wow.
And it's very disturbing because I think the huge issue remains for working women and working mothers is how to be both, how to be in two places at the same time. Society... And the work, it's not easy. It's not easy to do that because we're being marginalized at a younger and younger age.
Well, we talk to a lot of women through our show that talk about that guilt, of not being 100% in all of your roles, that something is going to give. And, we put so much pressure. I was just talking to a woman this weekend. I was traveling and she said, and I said, I'm learning in my old age how to say no and establish boundaries. And it's really hard without having the guilt that comes with it and the feeling like I'm letting people down. And she said, oh my gosh, I'm 55 and I haven't learned that yet. And, and I think that's a struggle too, that, we're so wanting to push and to work hard and not let anybody down that we let ourselves down in the process because we can't possibly measure up in every capacity at 100%. And where is the sacrifice and the compromise? And Jackie, we talk about that all the time too.
Yeah, I mean, we recently had that whole me-ternity discussion.
Oh.
So it's funny because as you were talking about parents leaving the work, for coaching and things like that, I could just picture the other employee without a child going, well, why can't I leave to coach,
Well, here's the thing. I don't think work-life balance should be exclusive to parents. I think it should be something that's acceptable across the board. Why can't people who choose not to have children leave the office at 6 o'clock? There's no reason for that.
Right.
I just think that with this 24/7 connectivity and perhaps since the last recession, people looking to get as much out of their employees they've created a culture of feeling like terrible, like garbage, if you don't check in with the office, like with your phone, first thing in the morning when you wake up to stay on top of things. Like, are you a neurosurgeon? Do you have someone on the table?
Right.
No? Can't it wait till 9? You know what I'm saying? Like,
I love in my, my freelance life when someone says there's an emergency, I'm like, really? Because we do marketing.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not really sure.
No. Like perspective. I think that, as a culture, there needs to be a hell of a lot more perspective.
Absolutely.
And look, if working mothers start that conversation with, I got kids, so be it. That's probably how it's all going to start to begin with.
Right.
Enough can rise to power to change how things run.
So
hopefully it will all trickle down across from there.
Before we wrap up the list, you got to talk about Ivanka Trump.
Oh,
because, she's got 3 little ones and, she's been out there with her dad. See, I'm, no, it's no secret how we feel about Trump, but I don't know. She's pretty powerful.
She's powerful and she's a super sharp, smart cookie.
Yeah.
I will admit she was not my personal suggestion, but I did agree with the editorial decision to add her because she balances Chelsea out. Like, you can't have a Democrat in there without a Republican to counter. And I thought of adding her myself, so I was really glad that my editor actually added her for the conversation. It was really important to have those checks and balances. And she's a very well-educated, very smart, very eloquent woman who runs her own business and does a pretty good job of it. So,
and she actually said, she was quoted in the New York Times that people asked me from a gender perspective about her dad. He said this and he said that about women. And she says, have you looked at the things he said about men? Why would our gender be treated differently? And I have to say, for the first time, I was like, oh.
She got you to stroke your chin, didn't she?
Totally did. I was like, wait. Oh, he's just a pig all, he's equal opportunity. So he does.
He is.
What's that?
He is who he is. He's an equal opportunity pig. Yes.
Yeah. So it did make me think, though.
That's my personal opinion. This is not the opinion of the publication that I write for. Just adding that in. Yeah, I think Ivanka was a nice choice to put on there just for balance and to let you know that, he raised a very powerful working mom. Right. He did it.
Level-headed, yeah.
Yeah. So when you're not writing for Working Mother magazine, you have a lot of other things happening. Where can people find you?
Where can't you find me, girl? No, I'm kidding. I'm one of the fashion police members for Us Weekly magazine.
Nice.
So if you're in a nail salon and you're getting your nails done and you're reading those jokes about people's outfits in the back, look for my little head on the bottom because I probably wrote a couple of those jokes.
Perfect.
So there's one thing. I also have a podcast called Soapbox Dirty. Are you hearing that, people?
Soapbox Dirty.
Yeah.
I like it.
And it's a pop culture conversation between myself, white, Gen X, working mom, with my BFF, who happens to be a millennial black gay man. And so we're trying to cover all perspectives here, and we have a lot of laughs. And hopefully you'll think so too.
That sounds great. So they can find that on iTunes?
Yep. We address pop culture, TV, whatever you're watching, whatever you're listening to, music, LGBTQ issues. We bring them out there. We talk about it. It's all fodder for conversation and a lot of wise butt humor.
I've listened to a few episodes, and it's not necessarily suitable for work. So we'll have to tell people that.
Yeah.
I love that. Those are my favorite podcasts. So
the After Dark ones.
Yeah. I like to keep it interesting. And I write for a lot of other magazines too. Like I write for Prevention. I've written for the New York Times. I write for whoever I can write for. I just enjoy writing in general. So I'm grateful that I get the opportunity to do it.
Well, we really appreciate you coming on today, Vivian.
We love this list, and you're going to see us on this list next year, right?
Bring it, lady.
2017.
Yeah.
Vivian Manning Schaffel.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us. We'll be right back after this message. Why should you become a Broadscast sponsor? Broad multimedia exposure, including radio, web, iTunes, YouTube, and social media sites like Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
A quick, easy way to reach your target demo, women. Exclusive, limited time only, affordable introductory rates.
Plus 20 years experience in on-air and online marketing. We produce your one-of-a-kind creative in-house, saving you time and money.
For more on becoming a Broadscast sponsor, visit broadscast.com today.
You're listening to Broadscast with Kim Goldman and Jackie McDougall, the most riveting hour of radio ever.
Welcome back. So that was fun.
Yeah, I'm feeling a little inspired and inadequate at the same time.
Right? Mm-hmm. It's quite an interesting combination of feelings. I have to listen to that whole "why should you be a sponsor" commercial. We must have had a lot of coffee that day we recorded that. Yeah, I know. So don't forget to head over to audibletrial.com/broadcast for your free audiobook and free 30-day trial. And thank you so much to Vivian Manning Schaffel for being on the show.
And thank you, Jackie McDougall, for being here. I really appreciate you.
I'll be here every Friday.
Oh,
and other days because, special episodes. But anyway.
Find us on broadscast.com and on all those other places on the internet where we are
Facebook, Twitter,
Twitter,
Instagram, and I'm going to get Kim on Snapchat soon.
Oh, good.
All right. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next week.